Hey guys, so I want to open this video by talking about a little bit about where I'm from. Um, so I'm from the town where most of the opioids in this part of the country used to come from. There were a couple of doctors that just churned out prescriptions all day long, and so they supplied the opioids to most of the East Coast. They got put in prison, and their home is now a free drug rehab, but is also the only free drug rehab around here. We have very few rehabs and a lot of addiction. After the opioids are starting to be phased out, heroin is coming in. But we also have a really high rate of poverty, and compared to um, the average city in America, we have a higher rate of poverty, of drug addiction, and of disability. So just to give a little bit of a backstory on my area, we also live in the Bible Belt, which is not a knock on Christianity. It is to let you know that there are a lot of people that go to church that are incredibly judgmental, and they think they understand things that they don't, and tend to be very hateful, even though they do not understand uh, the situation they're judging. I have a big issue with people picking and choosing what they care about and what they're going to judge. So, but that's not what this video is about. No, it's not. I can make one of those later, but I probably won't because I'll get too mad. But, so, I understand that a lot of people have personal experience with addiction that leaves them very jaded and afraid and angry. Um, and with a lot of biases towards people with addiction. And sometimes those biases are completely accurate to the individual that they're biased against, because there are a lot of times things go very badly when it comes to drugs and addiction. But please don't eat that feather, ma'am. Doodles. But what I want to talk about is social media. So I was recently hired by a local drug rehab place that's opening up to design a logo for them, and I am so honored to get to do that. I'm so happy they asked me because it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. And we're talking about social media because the way this place works is they're not allowed to have their phones while they're there. Not only can they connect with people that they would normally do drugs with, or dealers, which can cause them to relapse, but also because of the amount of things that people put on social media that are so damaging. Because if you get on social media and you see that people think that you're an animal, that people think you don't deserve to live, that people think you cannot recover, then what is the point? Especially if you're already struggling with recovery, if you're going through withdrawals or going through a hard time and you feel that urge to go back to the vice that you had, or if you're considering getting some sort of help and you're seeing addicts put down and drugs glorified at the same time, it's going to be much easier to stick with doing drugs and with and to give up on recovery. So the woman that I'm working with on the logo manages the media. I'm trying to stay as vague and as possible to not give away any personal information here, but she manages the media for this place and some other places. But social media is so powerful because if we put out things that humanize people who are dealing with addiction, humanize addicts, people in recovery, then they're going to know that there are people that believe in them, people that are willing to help them, that there is some sort of hope, that not everybody wants them dead, that not everybody is willing to give up on them, that not everybody sees them as somebody not worth saving. Because no matter how far people are gone when it comes to addiction, they were once little kids that never thought they were going to end up in that point. And I by no means am supporting being an enabler in putting up with somebody's drug habits without, or especially if it's destructive to you, without finding a way to have them get help and enforcing that. So I'm not saying keep giving them money when they need it, allow them to steal from you, that sort of thing. Don't let them hurt, don't let people hurt you for any reason, but including because of drug addiction or you know what I mean. But social media is such a powerful thing because most of us are on our phones a lot and we're seeing all this stuff. And if you're seeing your friends that are going out and getting high and doing drugs or drinking, because people don't acknowledge how damaging and addictive alcohol is. It's one of the few things that you could die from the withdrawals from. And it's so romanticized to go out and drink. When you see that, and then you see people that are going to put you down because you are dealing with that, it is the opposite of what's going to help. Because I personally have multiple friends who have dealt with hard drug addiction, who have are now clean, and I am so proud of them, and they are such wonderful, beautiful people. They are parents, they are advocates, they are helping other addicts or former addicts. I know people have different ways to refer to themselves after becoming clean, so I'm trying to not exclude anyone's way of referring to themselves. But social media is just so powerful in so many things, and I just wish people would be more careful about what they're saying when it comes to addiction, because these are people. They are people who can be helped if they're given the resources. Now it's their choice if they want help, if they're given the opportunity. So many people are not. There are so very few resources for people who are dealing with drug addiction, and I also just think it's horrifying that people are all for second chances, except for when it comes to somebody who's decided to do some kind of drug, because oftentimes, especially I know in my area, it's because they're escaping some other terrible part of their lives, which isn't always true. Sometimes people just want to do drugs because it makes them feel cool, but especially in this area, I've done a lot of reading about how they've been brought up doing drugs. There's just so much that goes into it, but they're human beings. I'm not dismissing the fact that people can end up hurting others because of addiction or because of the effects substances have on them, and I'm not saying to put up with that at all. I'm just saying that social media and what you say can damage those around you, especially when it comes to addiction. So if we, on the flip side of that, humanizing people, letting people know, because we don't know who's dealing with what. So many people are dealing with addiction, we don't know who around us is or isn't. So just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm on your side, I am proud of you, don't relapse. Just letting people know that they're cared about and human can make such a huge difference, even if it's just a small post somewhere. And or even at the very least not saying things about the fact that, like, saying that they deserve to die, or that they anything like that, or saying that they aren't going to ever recover. That just, I'm sorry, I'm not doing a very good job articulating my thoughts because I'm very emotionally involved in this subject, just because I do care about and love so many people who have dealt with addiction, that have overcome it or are trying to overcome it, and the way that they are talked about so often. It breaks my heart and it makes me so angry. So if you deal with addiction and you're watching this, just know that there are so many people that believe you, that want to help you, that understand that addiction isn't as easy as just quitting, that there are so many other obstacles, that resources aren't readily available. There's just so much that goes into it. Just know that even if I don't 100% understand what you're going through, because I can't, because I've never been to the point where I've been completely dependent on a substance. I haven't been there, so I don't understand, but I do believe that you are worth something as a human being, even if you aren't actively currently working towards recovery. I still care about you and I love you, and there are people that love you and care about you, and there are people, we want you to live and we want you to recover if you can, and I just want you to know that I love you so much.